Um, I don't really know what I'm gonna call this video. I just know there's probably people like me right now laying in bed, not being able to get any shut-eye, and it's okay, just know you're not alone in that. What I want you to do is actually first off, make sure you've brushed your teeth, and make sure that you're able to, either if you're laying in bed completely restless, maybe get a hot tea just to kind of soothe you down, or hot chocolate. Hot chocolate with marshmallows is always a good idea. And just slowly relax. I know how hard it can be getting to bed at night, especially when you have a million things on your mind and your brain just doesn't want to turn off. But sometimes you just have to close your eyes. And for me, I listen to podcasts, and I understand everybody has their methods, and I hope that I can help you get to bed as well, with my mediocre voice, and I am happy that I'm able to help people out. So, I'm gonna tell a story. What should I go for? So, there was a kingdom. It was a great kingdom, a little bit in poverty at the moment, as the Lord has raised the taxes of the land and has caused the poor to get poorer and the rich aristocrats to get more and more rich. Let's say our hero Jack was living on a poor farm. I say poor farm. Farmers are always poor in stories because they always end up being that person with the one cow or the one pig or the one goat. And to spice up this story, let's just say he had one chicken, and in this land chickens were quite rare. So Jack lived with his mother and his father. His father didn't like him too much. He thought Jack was a bit of a simpleton, which to his merit, he wasn't completely wrong. And his mum cared about him and just wanted the best for him. He had always wanted to please his father and make him proud, but sometimes just wanting to do something doesn't make it easy, and he wasn't able to. Or whenever he tried, he ended up just making a fool of himself in front of his father. What Jack didn't know is how poor his family really was until he woke up one day. Sorry about that. He woke up one day and he realised there wasn't any food. There was no bread in the cupboards. There was no food anywhere. And he went to his mother. "Whatever will we do?" And she said, "Jack, your father's gone out hunting, but I think you should take the chicken. If you go to the market, you'll be able to sell her and get a pretty penny. And hopefully we can not have to worry about any costly, wait, we're not going to have to worry about any food issues for a while, or at least until your dad can get back on his feet." Jack knew that his dad had an injury out hunting a few weeks ago, and it caused him to have to be bedridden for the last few weeks. Today was his first day back out hunting, and he was still worried about his father. He never really knew if his dad was just putting it on for show, or if it was way worse of an injury than he led on to believe. So Jack was a little bit scared for his father, now knowing this from his mother. knowing that they had no food, knowing that they had no options. So Jack said in a firm, stoic voice, "Trust it to me, Mother, and I will succeed." Jack took the wicker basket that he used to go and collect wheat in from the nearby fields, and he put the chicken in it. I'm going to be completely honest, I don't know what to call this chicken. Let's just call her Goldie for the sake of it. But that could go into a whole different story. But I don't want any bears in the story. It's a bit grisly as it is. And Jack took Goldie and went to the nearest village. He had to pass through the woods along the way. And his mother always warned him about these woods. The woods were always that one place that Jack feared. He remembered going in there as a child and getting a fright because he went deep into the forest and he felt like something was watching him when he was younger. But whenever he turned to look at the ominous figure that was following him, it always seemed to scurry away. It was said that in the woods there were big wolves that were able to talk to you. And Jack always thought these were old wives' tales that got told to all the children to get them scared from actually going into the forest. And it succeeded. Jack didn't want to go anywhere near those forests, but he was pushed against a wall, and he knew what he had to do for his family. So, teeth gritted, Goldie in hand, Jack started to walk towards the forest, knowing that he was going to have to face his demons. He hummed a merry tune as he went through the forest, knowing it would be about a half-day's walk to the village. The tune that he hummed was one of his favourite. How in the holy fuck am I going to make the national anthem like a genre? Let's say it was his favourite new age cyberpunk music, and his mother never really understood the kind of music that Jack was interested in. And it's the same as parents all around the world. There's music taste changes, and you never really know what the kids are going to like, and you never really know what you're liking. So Jack's mother always saw his music just to be a bit of a joke. How in the hell were they able to get the national anthem in there? And as Jack passed through these forests, taking his time and making sure that he didn't go into any of the dangerous, dark, looming areas which were able to get you lost for days on end, the forest turned into a maze, and if you didn't know the way, you were kind of done for. As Jack got to the village, he didn't really visit there too much, so he got a little bit lost when he ended up entering. He talked to some nearby villagers, and they led him to the back alley, which at first he was a bit scared and thought he took Goldie all the way here to just get mugged in an alleyway, but ended up going through the alley and being in the farmer's market. He spent a few hours bartering with different merchants and trying to see if he'd be able to get a decent price for Goldie. A lot of people were being stingy with their money and didn't allow Jack to get a proper deal. So, much to his surprise, just as he was about to give up, he felt a bony finger tapping on his shoulder, and as he turned, he heard a croaky voice. "Hey, young boy. What do you say if we have a trade? If you give me that chicken, I'll give you something that the worth doesn't determine in... It's priceless. I'm trying to say priceless. Its worth is priceless. And Jack's an idiot. This is the big punchline to this story. And he went, "Whatever do you mean? Are you able to get me a fair and good just offer for my chicken Goldie?" "Well, young boy, I can give you these beans, and even though they may not look it, when you get home, if you plant these and make sure you put water on them, otherwise they will not grow. They will make you a stalk of beans like you would never believe, and you wouldn't have to worry about food in your whole lifetime." Jack recalled himself a little bit and stood back. He was in disbelief. Whatever do you mean? I won't have to worry about food for my family anymore? Dad can stay out and not have to hunt? He can just relax and heal? Maybe I can make him proud again. And as Jack started to fall for the honey trap, which, to his defense, in this world magic existed, and it was a well-known fact, but you never really know who you're going to meet on the street. And he trusted her. The deal was made. "Well, you've made a good deal, Sonny Jim. Here are the beans, and thank you for this chicken." They said their goodbyes, and as Jack turned, he said, "Thank you, old lady. I really appreciate this. I won't have to worry about anything ever again." And as Jack walked back through the forest, looking at the beans he traded for Goldie, he hummed again. Hum bum bum ba da bum. Hum bum 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 bum. This time more of a joyous tune, for he had solved all the problems for his family. Or so he believed. And as Jack neared the end of the forest, he heard a ho. Just my interpretation of a howl coming from the forest behind him. And Jack made his way home, trying not to think about the trip that he made today, having to deal with the forest there and back, and all the bartering he did with various traders that were trying to undercut the price. He did think to himself as he was walking back, "Did I make a mistake? Am I being an idiot? Am I being stupid? Is this okay?" And he succumbed to the decision that he just had to deal with the consequences, because deep down he believed he made the right choice. And as Jack got home, he knocked on his door. Knock, knock, knock. Knock, knock, knock. And nobody answered. Again, knock, knock, knock. Knock, knock, knock. Jack didn't hear anybody. Nobody was home. So he went into the house, made his bed, laid the beans down on the windowsill so he wouldn't forget where they were, and called for his mum. "Mother, where are you? I've returned. I've sold Goldie." Nothing. No response. He heard the howling again, though. Howl. Just imagine, just please give me the slack. I'm trying my best on Howls. It's very hard at 3 o'clock in the morning, and my body's just like, ah. So, at this point, Jack was starting to get worried. His mind went into a frantic panic, and he was thinking the worst. His mother got attacked, his mother's dead, his father's dead. He got hunting. He's on his own now, I'm on my own now, what am I gonna do? And just as he started to panic more and more, to the point where he nearly gave up, and was just kind of going in circles and circles in his head. Knock, knock, knock on the door, knock, knock, knock. Mum, Dad, Jack yelled, as he opened the door. It was his mother. Jack? Oh, you're back. What did you get for me? Were you able to sell Goldie? Yes, I was. I got a really good deal. I met this lady, and she said that these beans, they are the solution to all our problems, Mum. We won't have to worry about anything ever again. We can grow them, and they'll always give us food. Beans. Jack, you can't do this. Beans. Goldie was precious. She was part of the family, Jack. No. Magic beans. I thought you were smarter than this. Maybe Dad was right. Jack, just go to your room and I'll sort this out. I was trying to do the right thing, Mum. They'll work, I promise. Just add water. You don't have to worry about it. We won't have any issues again. Jack, your room now. Jack went to his room. He didn't really have an option in the matter. He didn't want to hurt his mum, and carrying on was only going to cause her more pain. As Jack lay in bed, crying, to the point where he had no tears left, he was in pain. He was truly in pain. He only ever wanted to do right by his family, and even when he was trying his best, it wasn't enough. His mum, bless her soul, she wanted to believe him. She wanted to give it hope. But just that voice in the back of her head was... It was knocking at her, banging at the back of her head. Stupid child. Idiot. Why? And the voice kept getting louder and louder and louder. And she shouted. She shouted out of rage. It was a roar. It was a one sound. There was no words. It caused Jack to shake in bed. He didn't know what was happening, but he knew that he shouldn't have come out. The sad thing is, Jack only ever wanted his mum to be happy. But Jack and Beans never seemed to work out. So, in this peak of anger, the mum grabbed the beans and chucked them out the window. Enough. There's no false hope here. We can't do this to ourselves. She didn't want to end up giving Jack false hope, and she didn't want to end up giving her and her husband false hope, because they needed to work hard in this trying time, otherwise they wouldn't have survived. The sad thing is how much Jack's mum really truly cared about him. Her anger was there because she loved him. Jack laid in bed that night, not being able to get a wink of sleep, only wishing he did a better job, so his family wouldn't have to worry, and his dad wouldn't have to go out hurt, just to hurt himself again and again. And around 4 o'clock in the morning, at this point, the father had returned home. He didn't come into Jack's room. He didn't say a word. Jack guessed that his mum and dad had a conversation about Goldie and the beans, and Dad didn't really know how to react to it, so he didn't. So as Jack was laying, curling, swaying, rolling, not being able to get up to bed, he heard a rumbling in the floor. Rumble, 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 rumble. And it piqued his curiosity. He leapt out of bed, trying not to cause a sound, therefore not to wake up his mother and father, and went outside. He stood still. He wasn't able to move. He was in awe. A giant green beanstalk sprouted up from the side of his house, into the air, into the air. He kept thinking to himself, it's so far up, it doesn't seem to end. And it was right. Jack looked up, and it just kept going on and on and on and on and on, and it didn't stop. He couldn't see the end. But Jack knew, in that moment, as he was looking up at the beanstalk, he had to do something. He couldn't leave it like this for his mum and dad. The rumbling started again. Rumble, 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 rumble. Rumble, 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 rumble. And Jack looked up. It was coming from the beanstalk. The beanstalk was shaking. It was almost like someone was standing on it. And a massive bellowing voice called down from up into the air. It sounded bigger than it sounded louder than any noise that a male human can make or a female human can make. Jack's curiosity piqued, but curiosity does kill the cat, or some say. So Jack started to climb. He didn't look back. One branch after another, step after step, and carried on climbing up and up and up into the air, because he knew at this point he had no other option. Looking down only meant looking down at a sheer drop that was going to cause him to stir and shake and panic. And that wasn't going to help anybody. His goal was in sight. Just one more branch, one more grab, one more climb, and never look down. Never worry about it. Just carry on climbing and climbing and climbing and climbing and climbing. I'm starting to get sleepy. And as Jack was doing this, he started to so late. He was climbing for a few hours now. And the clouds started to give way. And as he passed through the last branch, pulling himself up, he saw past all the clouds a big looking castle. It was massive, huge, bigger than anything that he's ever seen. Thousands of human-sized. He had no idea what it could have been. And the loud voice started to click, and the shaking, and the only thought he had was giants. Now, he knew folklore, and folklore was that giants had a big treasure hidden away. Every giant had one, and every giant kept it a secret. But Jack knew that now, life or death, he had to get this secret for his family. He needed to get the giant's treasure for his own, so his family would never have to worry again, and he'd be able to make up for the mistake that he made, even though at this point he was being a little bit smug to himself, knowing that the magic beans worked. So, as Jack started to walk towards the castle, he kept feeling the rumbling, and one more shout. Fee, fi, fo, fum. I smell the blood of an Englishman. The voice pierced his heart like an icicle. It felt like every word was an arrow pointed at him, the quiver trembling. Jack stood, stunned in fear. He shook it off, because he knew that he had to do this or die trying. This was everything for him, everything for his family, and he wasn't going to disappoint them again. So, he made sure he kept to the shadows and was able to sneak into the castle. The first room he entered looked like a massive stone chasm, but then as he started to walk further into it, he realized it's more like a table counter. He wasn't sure, it was just so huge it looked like a walkway. And then he saw a massive knife, twice the size of him. And that confirmed everything. Giants. There are giants. I'm going to be able to do it. I'm going to be able to help my family. But he also knew he had to find a way of dealing with the giants, otherwise they were going to come down and rampage the woods and rampage through the village, and he wouldn't let that happen to his people. So Jack, in a way, rang the dinner bell for the big giant. And the thing about giants is, for what they make up in strength, they lack in intelligence. And Jack was able to make a massive clanging sound as he pushed the knife off the edge, and he felt the trembling deep down in the castle, like someone was walking up a spiral staircase. Trembling, each step causing waves through the ground and waves through the counter. And the weird thing about this plane that he was in was the floor was made of clouds. I don't really know the science there, but I guess the heat rises and I'm pretty hot, and so he heard the trembling getting closer and closer, and as it was coming, there was a shelf above him that had what it looked to be a rock on top, which confused Jack at first, and then he started to realise how strong and big giants were, and they must crunch it up to make kind of a mixed herb spice, so to say. But the issue with that is it made Jack question, if he has spices, what kind of meat does he have here? And where does he get his food? And then it hit him as he looked down into the darkened floor below the counter that he was standing on. Bones piled upon bones. Human bones. Jack didn't feel so bad now, as he knew what he had to do. And as the giant entered the room, Jack readied himself, Macaulay Culkin style. He knew he was going to leave this home alone, and he did. As the giant walked into Jack's eye shot, he started to push the rock. It was heavy, more than double his weight, but each push was moving it slightly closer to the edge, and all he needed was the right timing. And just as the giant stepped and bellowed, "Who goes there?" it kind of ended shortly, as a clod, and the rock fell from the height as Jack pushed it off and knocked into the back of the giant's head, and he collapsed to the floor. "I go there, and I'm going to be taking your treasure for my family." At this point, Jack didn't kill the giant, merely just knocked it out. He didn't want to take the risk. He knew that they came for revenge, and at the moment, he didn't really have a strategy left out, so he didn't want to end up getting himself burned for the sake of it. He was going to take this time for when the giant was sleeping as an advantage. So, he moved on to the next room. And guess what was sitting there, idly looking at him? Goldie, the chicken. But Goldie seemed to have a brother this time. It was a male chicken. I was about to say duck. Male duck and a female chicken. What? That would have been a weird relationship for what I'm going for. And this chicken was a little bit different looking. It seemed to have like flakes of gold in its feathers. Noticeably so. But it made Jack question, why was Goldie here? Did the woman have something to do with this? And I'm slowly drifting to sleep. So as much as I love every single one of you, and I hope you have a wonderful night, I'm literally gonna probably fall asleep and cool. It's not a good idea. I gotta get up to stop the crowding, and I don't want to leave, but I know I have to. So sweet dreams, everybody, and I hopefully can make a part 2 soon. I'm gonna make sure I make a twist on all the stories, and I'm kind of just coming up with it on the spot, so I'm sorry, I'm a tired boy.